coming to you with kind of a strange video. I've never released one of these videos before. Usually I release guides and let's plays, but this one's a rant. It's not gonna be too long. I'm glad to see that Final Fantasy XIV is getting popular. A lot of new players are coming in. It's a great thing to see new players coming in. But along with that comes a lot of players who just don't do any research and don't even read up on their class and just say some really stupid things. So I was running a dungeon just a few minutes ago, and it was a 50-60 dungeon. Anyone who plays Final Fantasy XIV, it's Wanderer's Palace, the world's easiest dungeon. Takes 8 minutes to get in. All right. We have a dark knight. Okay, he's a new. Okay, understand that. Well, anyone who plays that dungeon knows you have to move quickly through the first part because you have the stalker chasing you. I explained to him, don't pull just two at a time. Keep going because we have the stalker coming. Well, I go up there and I do my Arm of the Destroyer, hit everything because just trying to show where to go. And he just stops after killing everything. He stops and he says, next time you pull ahead, I'm not going to take aggro off you. First of all, as a tank, it happens all the time. People always go ahead of you. You just grab aggro real fast. It's not that hard. Especially in level 50 dungeons, and a monk does not AoE nearly hard enough where one Unleash is stronger than an Arm of the Destroyer. Secondary, there are times I might go ahead of a tank if I know where the pull is supposed to end. In things like Wanderer's Palace, where the pull stop parts are usually pretty normal. And so, I always pop Diversion to help reduce my enmity. Never had an issue before of tanks taking hate from me. As long as I'm not, moving ahead and going way far. I usually stop where I know the tank's going to be, and I usually stay within a close vicinity of the tank. But as a monk, anyone who plays a monk knows you can't really just sit there and stand there every 2 kills as your timer goes and you lose your stacks. So whatever, okay. Shame on me for going ahead. I'll give him that, okay, whatever, man. If you're gonna be like that, just whatever, whine. It's whatever. Seriously, if you're gonna whine over small things like that, don't frickin' tank. And that's one thing I want to tell you all new tanks. Being a tank means that you gotta have some tough skin, man. You can't sit there and get all pissy because a person goes ahead of you. If they're continually pulling ahead of you, if they're continually, just being a jerk about it and pulling crap and running ahead of the group when you're still killing a mob, understandable. If they're a black mage and they're not using their, or a red mage, especially a red mage or a samurai, and they're not using their, cooldown enemies, their enemy reducing cooldowns, then again, they're being a jerk at the same time, But you don't sit there and say, well, I'm not going to take it off you if that happens again. That's stupid. You're being pathetic about it, okay? Second, now, if you don't know my character, I main tank. I have I'll just show you guys. I have my paladin, crap. I got my paladin, my warrior, and my dark knight at 70. They're my highest geared classes. My paladin is my highest geared class because I prefer paladin. Dark and warrior are my next two. I know how to tank. I've been tanking since 2.0. I've been lucky to have people teach me, when I was not a really good tank, teach me how to tank better and give me some good techniques. I have in turn taught several different tanks who've actually gone and helped other people learn to tank. So I know how to tank. I know what I'm doing. When you decide to grab a mob, which in dungeons most things are in mobs, and you decide that you're just going to sit there and single target attack one thing without marking it, and first of all, you shouldn't mark anything. It's a dungeon. You don't need to mark it. It's a dungeon. You just grab stuff and you AoE a bit, and then you go to sweet single targets. But when you decide to just sit there and single target one thing with your sword that's not marked, so in a mob we can't tell what you're hitting, and then when the DPS tells you to please use your AoE attacks because you're taking hate, a response of that being a level 52 skill is not acceptable. All tanks have an AoE attack that comes at a way lower than 50. And there's no reason to not use your AoE attack. And so when you refuse to use your AoE attack, and your DPS are taking hate, don't sit there and tell the person to suck a dick. Especially if you're new. I mean, that's one thing that's irritating. I got like these 3 new people, and I'm pretty much being told now I don't know anything I'm doing, and I don't know the class I'm playing, and that they know what they're doing. I mean, that's a great thing. When a tank tells you they know what they're doing, and then you go and you attack and you take hate of one of the mobs. Tanks, if you know what you're doing, That doesn't happen with a monk. Monks don't take hate. They don't. They can't AoE. Especially at level 50, they can't AoE. They can't... I mean, their single target is how it's done. They can do really good damage, but the way it's done, each hit is so low that it does get fast, but the building up process, and if they're AoEing, does not make nearly enough hate or enmity for them to take it from a tank. A black mage, yes. A red mage, yes. Samurai at 50, I'm not sure about the Samurai at 50. I don't usually run mine at 50. Maybe the quick draw attack can. But there's no reason if you have 2 melees to lose hate. So if you're watching this video and you're looking to tank, I just want to finish this off a little more, just some lessons for tanking. Number 1, if you lose mobs, it's your own fault. Especially if you went in before the DPS did. Don't ever have your answer be when you're told to AoE that you don't want to use your MP up. You use your MP up. That's why it costs MP, that's why you have the skill. If you're not going to be using your AoE skills at level 50 dungeons, you're not going to be using them in further dungeons, and that's going to make a real problem when you're going against a red mage or a black mage. If you can't hold hate against a monk as a tank, you need to seriously research that class, or you need to play different class, because monks should never take a hate from you. Ninjas shouldn't really take hate. Ninjas shouldn't really take hate, especially if they're using their cooldowns. If you're going to be a tank, you got to be fast. Nothing is more infuriating to most players, especially advanced players, than a tank that goes Mob A, Mob B, Mob C, Mob D, and takes one mob at a time. You make dungeons that take 10 to 15 minutes take 30. Okay, again, nobody wants to be in an old dungeon for 30 minutes. You should never be in Wanderer's Palace for more than 10 minutes. Alright, so if you're gonna tank, you need to learn to speed tank. You need to learn to clutch, you need to learn to use your cooldowns. There's a reason tanks have cooldowns. You don't need to use a cooldown when you're pulling only 2 or 3 mobs. You just don't need it. The cooldowns are when you have 5 to 10 mobs. And if you watch pretty much any endgame tank who truly tanks endgame and knows what they're doing, they will always pull multiple mobs. They never sit with only 3 mobs. The tanks who do that are the tanks that don't know how to tank. So if you're going to tank, you need to start practicing in level 50 dungeons on how to tank multiple mobs. And level 50 dungeon is a great chance to practice. Pre-level 50 is really hard, but once you're level 50, all the dungeons can start being pulled with mass pulls. If you're running a Realm Reborn level 50 dungeons, learn the lockout technique. It's a really good technique. It was created back in the day, and when you're running a dungeon that you really aren't going to get much experience per kill, learning to lock them out for boss fights saves a lot of time. Again, you're a tank. You're the heart of the party. You're the one who guides that party. Everyone follows you. If you're a little sissy about getting hit, you can't be a tank. If you're so scared that you're gonna die because so many mobs, you can't be a tank. Communicate with your healer. You know, make sure you're like, hey, you know, are you able to do this? Are you fine? Okay, I'm like, alright, let's give it a shot. Rotate your cooldowns properly. If you don't know how to rotate your cooldowns, find a tank. Find someone who tanks. Ask them. Ask me. I'm more than willing to help teach. I'm more than willing to help teach new tanks. In fact, I want to teach new tanks because I want more good tanks. Because when I'm leveling up a class like a monk, I don't want to sit there for 20-something minutes in a Wanderer's Palace dungeon, then get kicked out because I'm telling the tank, dude, you got AoE. I'm taking hate. This is pathetic. It's not okay. And I'm gonna, you know, I mean, I'm a tank. If I catch tanks that aren't doing it right, I will jump on you. Level 52, you should not a tank. You should know how to use AoEs. You should know how to use your different abilities. You should know what your role abilities are. And people who just go straight to Dark Knight, if you're gonna go to Dark Knight, fine, that's okay. But do the research. Don't go to Dark Knight without ever having touched a tank and refuse to do research. I know plenty of people who've just gone to Dark Knight, they did the research, and they're fine tanks. Not the best tanks, but they're fine. I do find the best tanks are people who've been playing a tank since level 1, such as a Paladin and Warrior. And usually the ones who play 2 tanks, or all 3 tanks, usually are the best as they understand how it works. And if you tank and heal at the same time, that's double points, because now you know how your heals work, and you're better able to situate the situation. So just remember, if you're gonna tank, be tough. Don't sit there and whine. Don't complain because the DPS goes ahead of you, especially if the DPS is like, whatever, man. If you die, you die. That will be on you, but I'm not gonna complain about it. If I'm running with one of you, if you're a new tank and I'm running with you and I go ahead of you and I die because of that decision, that is on me. I'm not gonna jump on your ass for it. I did it. It was my bad. Whatever. I should have. That will be my consequence. But deciding that you're gonna teach someone a lesson by telling them if they do it again, they're gonna keep the hate. That's not how you play a game. What you're telling somebody is that I'm not gonna do my job. You go ahead of me, I'm not going to do my job. That's not correct. Do your job regardless. If someone's intentionally pulling crap, okay. But even then, you still need to do your job. I do my job. I get people like that all the time that go ahead of me. Whatever. I do my job. I get bards who I'm running mobs and they're shooting the mobs while I'm running and they take hate and I gotta switch around, provoke, shield lob, bring it back. Whatever. That's the job of a tank when you sign up. When you sign up to be a tank, you're signing up for that. Remember that. If you're not ready to deal with taking care of DPS who might go rogue, ensuring regardless that you have hate, making sure that everything is on you, not worrying about getting hit, learning how to speed pull, learning how to properly rotate your mitigations for fights and everything, then you're probably playing a wrong class and you need to switch to something a little easier. Well, a little less threatening. I personally feel tanking is the easiest class in the game. It's just the most threatening, because you screw up, everyone sees it. And people do like to ride the tank's ass. However, that has changed quite a bit. So, some people might still get on you about tanking. If people get on you for tanking, it usually means you're screwing up. So I'm gonna go and end this video here as my dungeon just popped. And I hope new tanks are taking that. I hope if you're a new tank, you take this video to heart. Anyways, this is Secret True Lane. Thank you for listening to my rant, and I will catch you later.